Hello everyone, welcome to the Grumpy Old Hunter. Today we're going to talk about Firenock lighted nocks for Ravin crossbows. Now if you're like me and every other Ravin owner, you've been told you can only use Ravin arrows, Ravin nocks, and Ravin accessories for your crossbow. Well, good news, that's not true. I started using the Ravin lighted nocks on their arrows the first year and a half that I had my R10, but I really didn't like them. The arrows are great. They're made by Black Eagle, but the lighted nocks were terrible. They're some odd orange color. They didn't light dependably, and I just didn't like them. So I did some research and I found Firenock. Firenock makes nocks, arrows, and accessories, and they'll fit your Ravin crossbow. I've been using them for 4 years now. I also switched arrows. I've used 2 different Black Eagle models. I like zombie slayers, and I used those for a couple of years, but they got kind of hard for me to get last year, so I started using executioners. Both of them work really well. Both of them are just as accurate as the Ravin arrows. And in the 2 seasons I've been using the executioners, I've got 6 deer with them, so I know they work. The other nice thing about them is they're cheaper than the Ravin arrows. You can get 6 executioners or zombie slayers for about $50. Now, with the Firenocks, you're going to need to get a couple of things. You're going to need to get the gel. You're going to need to get the Extreme Shock end caps. You're going to need to get the batteries. You're going to need to get the actual circuit. Now I use the flashing one, but they make them in different colors and they also make them solid. I just like flashing red. And then you'll need to get the nocks. Now they make 2 different nocks for Ravins. You just need to measure the diameter of your string to know which nock is the right one. Once you get that, the first step is to clean the inside of your arrow with acetone. Then you're ready to put the nocks together and install them in your arrows. Now before you glue the arrow, you're going to want to set up the Extreme Shock end cap. The way you do that is you take the tool, screw the end cap on. Now I screw it on till it just gets tight. I don't screw it on completely all the way, and then I'll back it off about 1/8 of a turn. Now if you look at the end cap, you'll see there's a groove for the O-ring to go into. So you take the O-ring, and the easiest way to do it is slide it over one side and then just roll it down until it slides into the groove. You'll want to do that before you glue the arrow because you don't want the arrow and the glue to dry out while you're doing that. So once you've done that, you're ready to glue the arrow. And what I do is I put the orange nozzle on the glue syringe, and then I put it a little more than halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way down into the arrow before I put the glue in. Then once I get it in, I just press the syringe and twist the arrow to spread the glue around the arrow. You don't want the glue so high that the nock hits it when you're pushing it in. Once you get the glue in, then you insert the Extreme Shock end cap. And it's simple. You just take the cap on the insertion tool, slide it down into the arrow, and then once I get it down in all the way, what I like to do is I'll stand the arrow up on a flat surface on the insertion tool because I want to make sure that the end cap is in there straight. Then I'll let it sit for about 15 seconds for the glue to set. Once I feel like it's set, then it's simple. You just unscrew the insertion tool and pull it out. Once I've done that, I'll set the arrow aside upside down, in other words, with the fletching side down, and let it sit. Now you need to let it dry overnight before you install anything else because you don't want the fumes or residue from the super glue to damage the circuit board or anything else. Once you've done that, the next day, it's time to put the battery, the circuit, and the nock itself together. So with the batteries, you'll see they have a real small O-ring. And the O-ring goes over the top of the pin that comes out of the battery. It's real simple. I just put it on my finger and then stick the pin through it and slide it on, and you're good to go. Once you've done that, put your battery aside and you're ready to put the circuit board in the knock. Now if you look at the knock, there's a groove in the center and two holes, one on each side of the groove. That groove is for the circuit board to fit down into. So you take your circuit board, and on the circuit board there's a light on one side and a spring on the other end. You put the light in to the knock, making sure that the circuit board is in the groove, and then the two tabs on the circuit board snap into the two holes in the knock. Now I found that if I squeeze the sides of the knock, it deforms it just enough to make it easy to slide the circuit board in. So I'll push it in, then I like to make sure it's in there by pulling on it and trying to wiggle it back and forth to make sure it's in place. Once I've done that and I'm happy, then it's time to put the battery in. Now the battery, you'll see there's a hole in the bottom of the circuit board. That's where the pin on the battery goes, and the body of the battery slides up through that spring. So once you're sure the circuit board's in the knock securely, you take your battery. There's the hole there in the circuit board. Now you just slide the pin from the battery into that hole. And then what I do is once I get it in, I'll slide the spring down a little bit to make sure that the battery's in there secure. And then the finished assembly looks like that. Now it's time to insert the knock into the arrow. Again, remember, this is the day after you glue it. You've got to let the glue cure. Once you're ready to put it in, what I do is I try to squeeze the knock again just to get one side of it in. Once I get one side of it in, then I align the notch for the string up with the indexing fletching, which in this case is the red one for me. Then put it on a hard surface and push it in all the way. Once it's in all the way, wrap it on a hard surface and the knock will light. And you can see these are the blinking ones, so they stay lit for a while and then they blink. I think it's way easier to find them, so I prefer these. And then the way you turn them off is the same thing. Tap it on a hard surface and they'll turn off. Once you've done that, you're set. So there you have it. That's how you install Firenock lighted nocks on not just arrows for ravens, but any arrow you have. And I think they're the best nocks out there. And remember, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell all your friends. Thanks for watching.